Hello, everyone. Something big has hit the ChatGPT Plus subscription. It's none other than Codex, and I'm excited for us to try it out today. And if you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment, and without further ado, let's get started. So, on the Plus subscription, I have noticed Codex has appeared in the menu under Library. I'm going to go ahead and go to the Codex from there, and it takes you to another page. And I already connected my GitHub account, and so you need to connect your GitHub account and then select the project that you want to work on. And today, I want to go ahead and work on the Connect 4 game project that I have on my GitHub. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. So there's a button where you can create a new environment. And I'm going to set up this new environment now where I'm going to select the things from my GitHub. And I'm going to look for my Connect 4 project, which is there. And then it has different configurations that you can set. I'm going to pretty much leave them on the default. I'm going to enable internet access, and it's limited to a certain amount of domains that it can do during its coding session. And just a quick look, here are the list of domains that are allowed, and you can also add your own domains if you would like, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that for now. And then I'm going to go to create environment at the bottom right here. And so I have created an environment. I'm going to hit use this. All right. And now I'm here on the actual prompt where I can prompt it to be able to do something for me. So I'm going to tell it to examine this code. It's a game of Connect 4, and come back to me with some suggestions of some enhancements you can add to this application. So I'm asking Codex if it can study the code, then come back to me and tell me if there's any enhancements it can add to this code. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this ask button here. It says fast mode, where the agent doesn't edit code, and code is, it might just go ahead and encode if I hit code, but I'm going to hit the ask first and see what it does. So when you go ahead and ask it something, it goes ahead and goes off and does that task, and then you can pump off multiple tasks for it to go off and do things that are asynchronous instead of synchronous. So this is kind of a new thing from what ChatGPT does, where you have to do something one at a time. but this time you can do multiple um, prompts on the same project and it will go off and do that work for you, and then you can pump off another task, which is very interesting. And it looks like it's, going through the code and analyzing the code and getting familiar with the code, which is a good thing. And then I wanted to come back to me with suggested enhancements. And as you all know, then if the enhancements seem to be, nice suggestions, then we'll come back and ask it to implement those suggestions. So it looks like it's ready. So I'm going to go ahead and click the task and see what happens. Alright, I drilled down to the task it was working on, and it said it worked for about a minute, which was pretty quick to examine the code. And potential enhancements for this Connect 4 game: externalize JavaScript and CSS, some coding changes, make the code cleaner, which is a boring feature. Let's see what else. Add game state persistence. Utilize local stores to remember the player's win-loss record or the current game board. This lets players resume unfinished games or track scores across sessions. That's interesting. Let's see what else. Improve the AI opponent. The current AI checks for immediate wins or blocks and otherwise chooses randomly. In implementing a more advanced algorithm, mini-max with pruning would provide a more challenging single-player experience. Alright, and it says highlight the winning sequence. When a player wins, visually highlight the 4 connected cells with a glow or a different color to clearly show the winning line. And we're probably most likely gonna do this one because that sounds cool. And we'll see what it got and see if it can implement that. Let's look at these other ones to see if they can potentially make it into this video. Alright, so it says add multiplayer support. Allow 2 humans to take turns on the same device. Provide a control to switch between single player and local 2-player modes. I must not have, I thought I already had that in my Connect 4, but I might have not submitted those changes, but Google's version of this, Jules, already did that for me. But anyway, I'm not going to worry about that because that was implemented. And it says implement responsive design, adjust the board and controls to fit smaller screens. This can be done with CSS media queries so the game remains playable on phones and tablets. So far I'm going to ask it to do 4 and 6, and then it says create a .get file. That's irrelevant. Provide a simple readme. Alright, so what we're going to have this thing do is I'm going to have it add the feature of highlighting the actual highlighting the win row, and also it will implement responsive design. And also, just very quickly, I will show you guys the version of Connect 4 that it is gonna be working on, just so you can see the before and after. Alright, I'm back with the game here, and so I have the computer versus the user. I'm green, the computer's blue, and I choose the columns I want to set my chips on. And so, yeah, we're playing against each other on this version. On one of my previous videos, I had Google Jules actually go ahead and make a multiplayer where it was a user versus a user on the same device, which I did not save those changes. However, now that I think about it, I'll go ahead and have Codex do that same thing, and we'll see how that implementation looks. So, anyway, yeah, this is pretty much, how the game looks. And so we might have a tie, a draw. We had a draw. All right, but anyway, let's go ahead and have our Codex do the features that we wanted. So I wanted to do feature number 4, highlight the winning sequence, and I wanted to do feature number 6, implement responsive design, and now I would like to implement feature number 5, add multiplayer support, which I did not save from when Jules implemented it, but you can see that in a previous video, and you can see firsthand and compare the differences of the implementation of Codex and the implementation of Jules. And we'll get that ready for you just in a few moments. So, like we were saying, I'm going to say go ahead and implement 4, 5, and 6. And yeah, there's nothing really else to say but that. Go ahead and implement 4, 5, and 6. And this time, I'm not asking it to do it. I'm going to just go ahead and say code, and hopefully it will start coding that without any problems. It says working on my task, and it kind of changed to this kind of window here, and it has this view log button, and you can probably view what is it doing. And so it's configuring the environment, installing the different stuff it has to install in order to go ahead and code up the things it needs to code up. And it's going to do these different things, and it's doing some shell scripts, so it's probably in the process of examining the code so that it can make an informed decision on how to change it. All right, so I'll let it do its thing, and then we'll come back when it is finished, and we'll see how it did. All right, we're back, and so now what it says is the game now supports single player or local 2-player modes via a new drop-down menu. Winning pieces are highlighted with a glow when a player wins. CSS variables and media queries resize the board for small screens. And so that sounds like exactly what I wanted it to do. And so, it also shows the diff of what it added and what it subtracted, and this green is what it added, and this red is what it subtracted. and very similar to Google's Jules. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it to create a pull request. All right. So I had it create a pull request, and now I'm going to go ahead and hit view pull request. And then it takes me to my GitHub profile. And so it named the pull request implement multiplayer mode and winning highlight. And I'm going to go ahead and hit merge pull request and confirm merge. Now we have the latest code on our GitHub. I don't have it connected to my local repository, so I'm just going to go ahead and download a fresh copy of the code so that I can test it out. So I'm going to go ahead and hit code and download zip. Alright, now I'm running the latest version in my browser, and now this is a fresh test of what it has done. So basically, let me go ahead and see if it added the glowing highlight to the winner. So right now, I'm going to have to try hard to defeat this computer so that we can get the win. Actually, maybe to make things faster, maybe I should just let him win. But let's see how this goes. Connect 4. Alright, so I have defeated the computer and it has successfully highlighted the winning row like it was supposed to. Now, the next thing is it has multiplayer. So I'm going to select 2 players. And now, let's see how that does. Alright, so I have to manually, on the same device, play. If I had another person on the same device, we could, take turns on the same device. So this is successfully working. Connect 4 player 1 defeats the other player.